Hello everybody and welcome back to another video here on my channel and also a reading video. However, if you did not know, I have no clue when this video is going out, but we are actually in a camper and so you might be hearing my son playing right next to me basically in the bunk. We will be in this camper for quite some time. I have all of my physical TBR actually in 3 books and they're all in this camper. Those I have my top priority books, more so like ones that I definitely want to get to next, the next in the series, things like that. We have a little bit of priority slash some other books that I wasn't really going to plan on reading. It might be the 3rd in a series or whatever, or it just might be books that I wasn't as interested in, but they're not necessarily in a series or standalones, and I just wanted to prioritize other books. And then my final 3rd box is books that I'm not really getting to or I didn't really have planned. That is more of like book 4, book 5 in a series, you know, super far down the line. That is majority of what is in that box. But we will be actually in today's video going over my June TBR. I'm a little bit late to this because we've had a crazy last couple months especially, but definitely the last crazy week. And this TBR I just handpicked because I was like, okay, here's my priority box. Let me just pick 5 books out of there. I have no clue how much I will be reading, but I am also stuck in a camper. So I know for a fact that at least for a month I will be in this camper. So it'd be good to kind of go ahead and make sure I have good books to read. Preoccupy myself. You know, I have been playing games and I have been editing videos, but I only want to do that so much. And I mean, I will be going out to a park maybe, but you know how it is. We're in a whole new state, whole new territory. So for right now, let's try and save some money, stay indoors, and read some books. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into my TBR. The first book on my June TBR is actually a book I'm currently 124 pages into. It is Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. This is book 1 in the Knock 'Em Out trilogy. I've had these books or the series. I pretty much thrifted all of them, I think, but one of them. It might have been this one that I didn't thrift. I've had this series for quite some time, a couple years, since we at least were stationed in Las Vegas. So it's been at least 2, if not 3 or so years. And I finally decided to put this book, the first book in the series, on my 26 and 26. And that is one reason I decided to pick it up, because I have just been reading a bunch of YA fantasy and sci-fi, and I feel like I need almost like a palate cleanser. I need something to just kind of freshen my mind just a little bit. And I feel like with Lucy Score, I'm 50-50 right now. I've read one book I really like from her, one book I didn't like, so it would be nice to tackle this because I also have Without This trilogy. I have all 3 of those, and then I also just picked up before we moved for 25 cents from my local library, The Story of My Life, I do believe it's called, with the sprayed edges. And I didn't feel like hopping into that. I mean, I wanted to, don't get me wrong, but I figured instead of hopping into that one, why don't we tackle something off my 26 and 26 list? So that is why I picked this book, and I'm kind of excited because with it being more daisies on the cover, I feel like it's more summertime, spring, summer. Technically we are in summer now officially, and it is hot in North Carolina, and it's not as hot as back home. It's more not humid. It's still the same temps, it's just not as humid, and I don't know if that's normal for North Carolina not to get really humid, at least around this time, but it is the beginning of June and 80 degrees feels like 70, I guess, at our house, maybe 60 depending on the day. And at our house the humidity makes it feel like 100 degrees almost. I'm super excited to start this. So far I have been actually really enjoying this. It's fast paced and it just makes me want to just kind of sit down. There is some spots in it that I just wasn't expecting within 120 pages to kind of jump in and have some more descriptive, not necessarily scenes, but just a couple different phrases. I wasn't really expecting that, except for the fact that this is Lucy Score, so I knew there were parts that I was probably going to skip, but I wasn't expecting this soon, so I wasn't able to really skip them, if you know what I mean. The next book that I'm considering is actually The Queen of Nothing. This is the 3rd book and final book in the Cruel Prince trilogy, and I read the first book. I wasn't really in love with it and I didn't really hate it. I was just kind of in the middle because I felt like it did a good job at setting up the world, and at the end of that book I felt like it was really good. The last maybe 15% or so, I don't remember exactly, but the end of that book was so much better than the entirety of the book. And somebody had mentioned that the second book is just like the end of the first book. The first book is more just setting up, and then we get into more of the stuff that happens in the second book. And let me just tell you, they were absolutely correct. I love the second book so much more. The ending of the second book was so good. I felt like it was one of those that I kind of seen coming, but at the same time it kind of threw you for a loop. It was a little twist, so I'm so excited to finish this trilogy, cross another series off my list, and also see the final conclusion in this book. I can't give too much details away with it being the 3rd book, but if you've read this series then I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, because apparently this book is the best book out of the trilogy. It's at least what I've seen. I have another really exciting book, or another series that I really want to continue, and this I just read An Ember in the Ashes, I think at the end of last month. So I wanted want to read book 2, which is A Torch in the Night. No, A Torch Against the Night. And I have no clue how to say this author's name, so I'm so sorry about that. The last book was my first 5-star of the year. I actually had 2 5-stars in a row, and that book was just so good. I was so invested. I really love a classic dystopian YA fantasy. I don't know if this is dystopian, but a YA fantasy or YA sci-fi book, especially with like dystopia in it. And I just felt like this gave me all the vibes. I should have read it when it first came out. I didn't know about it until I think by then I was already at least stationed in Wisconsin, so I was in my very last year of my teenage years, but more so in my 20s. I really never got around to it, and then I ended up thrifting it or finding it, I think, at a Half Price Books, and I'm so glad I did. And I love these covers. These are my favorite editions of the covers. I think these are the original covers, but I love these covers so much. And I have, I think, 3 books now out of this series. If not, I'm on the search for the 3rd book, but I'm not positive if I finally found it the last time I went to Half Price Books. But I know that I'm gonna absolutely love this book because the last book was just so good and it ended so great, and I love some of the characters. I love a lot that went down, and I felt like she did a really good job at setting up this world, setting up the trials, I'm just gonna say, and some adventures and quests and things that they had to do or to avoid. And I really enjoyed the first, and I definitely recommend it. If you have never read this series, at least for the first book, try it out. For my 4th book on my TBR is actually a book by an author that I said I probably would never read. There's just some series like Magnolia Parks and some authors that I hear too much about. They're not necessarily overhyped, but I just hear way too much about, and I just don't care. And sometimes when you talk too much about something, or it's like super popular, especially for a long given a time, I just feel like I'm not really the type of person that wants to go pick up a book just because it's popular. Sometimes yes, because that's how I feel like we kind of gravitate towards like the book talk, booktube type books, and we pick those up. But this book was one of those that I've only considered from this author. All the other books I've never been interested in, and I'm so tired of hearing about this author, and I really hate to say that because I feel like that's kind of controversial. However, this is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I have heard such amazing things about this book. I think recently, right after I picked this book actually up from my local library as well, I think Rachel Catherine had just read this for the first time, and she absolutely loved this, and it was just I think last month or a couple weeks ago. With her rating, I feel like me and her have very similar taste, and I just got more excited since I just found it to kind of hop into it. So it's one that I do want to get around to. And technically with any of Taylor Jenkins Reid's, I've heard amazing things about their books. Everybody is hyping up her books for a reason, but like I said, sometimes I just don't care about the hype, and it makes me not want to read a book, which I know sounds so stupid, but that's just how I feel. And this book in particular has me a lot interested compared to any other book from her. So I figured, why not, since it was I think like 25 cents as well, because paperbacks were 25 cents at my local library at the time, why not pick it up and I can try it out, and if I don't like it, I can always get rid of it to my free little library or Half Price Books. And my 5th and final book for my June TBR is none other than a good old Louis L'Amour. This and another copy just like this I picked up when my mom and I decided to go to Half Price Books right before we moved, and this one in particular is actually Silver Canyon. I have another one, I can't remember what that other one's called. I have loved Louis L'Amour books so much. I love westerns. It's just my favorite time period. Like, I'm a more, I feel like 1890s to 1910s in a way person. That's my favorite generation, or favorite couple decades is around the 1890s. And with his books in particular, I have read 2 of them, The Cherokee Trail and then also The Quick and the Dead, and I love them. I love them so much. I love his editions. I love these. These are beautiful, but I don't want to just collect these because I have one mass market paperback, which I would like to get a full size, but I love if I could just get some of these and then some of the hardcovers with the dust jackets that are more almost like artwork. If you've seen The Cherokee Trail when I read that, then you know which one I'm talking about. But I am so excited to hop into this book. I think this one, because of the edition it is, I think it's a little longer. Not really. It's still under 200 pages. That was like 163 and I was almost to the last page. So his books are fairly short, but within 200 or so pages that he writes, I feel like they're very action-packed. They make me want to keep reading, and I feel like they always have good conclusion, good events throughout the entire book, good characters. He writes the characters so well. Even the bad characters he writes really well, and I really enjoy his books. So this will be my one that I really want to get to, but if I don't, it's okay because I just picked it up maybe about 4 days before we left. So these are the 5 books that I hope to read in the month of June, or at least a good basis to follow. I'm gonna leave it at that. It's kind of weird not doing a TBR jar video and just handpicking these, but at the same time it was kind of nice because I got to choose what I actually wanted to read and not just base it off of a prompt. Since I was already starting this and I knew I wanted to finish this because it was on my 26 and 26, I got to do that. I got to have some new ones. I got to continue a series, maybe finish a series series. So I'm super excited about this. I really hope I can read this. I don't know how much I will or won't be reading since, you know, we're in a whole new area. We are actually house hunting right now. We are kind of busy, but also throughout the day I feel like I have nothing to do. So if I feel like sitting and reading, I have a lot of time that I could just dedicate to reading. But at the same time, do I really just want to sit around and not do anything? That's really hard after I've been so active, and especially with me always having land. Now I feel like I'm very bored because I have nothing to do. There's nothing to do anymore. But thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. I will be trying to keep up with the videos. I don't know how well they will be, and I don't know what all they will entail. I know at least reading for sure. Maybe some car shows, maybe some sightseeing, photography, something like that. I guess stay tuned for our crazy life because there's a lot happening and I feel like we're always doing something. So thank you again so much for watching. I hope to see you in another video here on my channel, and as always, God bless.